You sure about this?
I'm not sure.
Well, let's turn around, dive into this, and see what we find.
Hugh here, and some shit's going down here at the BooTv studio. Mikey ain't been doing any work. Also, what the fuck is that shit? Actually, he was distracted by work. It's been keeping him from being able to edit, which means we've been going about a week or two without any videos. I'm taking over this bitch. Let's do it. So what you're about to see is BooTalks episode 0, in which we kind of cut up the first episode of BooTv and talked about BooTalk a little bit. In the coming weeks, BooTalk is going to keep on taking over until Mikey comes back.
You're listening to BooTalk with your host, Hugh Perry. Now allow us to dive even further into this week's BooTv theme.
Thank you very much for that, Boo Demon. I'm your host, Hugh Perry, as he said before, but the Boo Demon, he wasn't 100% correct in what he was telling you earlier. This is an episode 0 sort of situation. We're going to be covering the first ever episode of BooTv. Just to kind of get a feel for what we're doing. I'm actually just sitting in my bedroom right now, not even like in a professional situation at all. So we're going to be covering that. The theme was just like an introduction, get to know you situation, what we kind of did to start into haunted houses and horror and everything like that. So I'm going to play some highlights from the actual episode. Not really highlights, but highlights that pertain to the theme that we had on hand. And after you're through listening to that, I'll be back at the end of the episode to let you know a little bit more about what BooTalk is going to be. So here it is, and stay tuned to the end. Oh, and before I go, actually, if you are not interested in listening through all those BooTv clips, totally understandable because the friggin' episode was like an hour long. If you want to just skip ahead till about like 24-25 minutes in, you'll get to the end where I just kind of recap a few things and talk about BooTalk.
Mikey! You! Get me the fuck out of Canada! God damn it, these motherfuckers can't drive! Ah! Boo news! We'll be right back!
Welcome to BooTv, guys. I'm your host, MIKEY Thomas, and this is my co-host,
Hugh Perry.
We welcome you to our first episode.
Fuck that. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Castle Carter because I wanted my name to match my personality. Fake. Which means this is your first look at the adventures of Castle. I just vacuumed. I'm home alone and hungry. But as opposed to normal food, we have ramen and cookies.
Our home, the lovely haunted hotel, come every September through October, I believe.
Yes.
We are open. October is typically when we are open 4 nights a week.
Yes, well, this year I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe we're starting August 31st. And then once that rolls into September, it's going to be Friday and Saturday every week. And then October is when we kick it into Thursday through Sunday.
And it's going to be getting a lot more intense from my understanding. So do come check out the haunted hotel this year. Great haunt. Actually, Kentucky's #1 haunt.
I don't know why I just say a speech. The way I view haunting in general, I crafted a story at one point that I tell to thousands of people a year. And when you look deeper into that story, there's meaning behind it of, like, human unity and stuff like that. A message against hate. I view haunting as we bring the worst out in people and monsters to show to normal everyday people, so when they leave our haunt, they go home and think, the real world ain't so bad.
There was a review group in our area, and it was shortly after the Pulse nightclub tragedy in Florida. These guys who operated this review group were making all these posts on Facebook that were just really, really harsh. Slurs and all that. Travis, who owns 7th Street Haunt in Louisville, he and his husband Matt contacted a few of us other owners, we all stay in touch, and said, we're just not going to let these guys come to our haunted house anymore. All of us immediately said, you know what, we're not either. And so we decided, what can we do to show some solidarity and some support? And I actually wrote an open letter that all of the original founding haunts of Hunters Against Hate all signed on to, that we sent to this review group. Just the way of making our opinion known and doing something about it. And since then, it now has booths at trade shows. We sell t-shirts for Hunters Against Hate, and all of the proceeds go to various LGBTQ charities. Several haunts, we're doing one, are doing Hunters Against Hate nights this year that are going to offer discounts, and then also a portion of the proceeds are going to go to those type of charities. And so it's very important to become a support group and to bring awareness and to promote the idea of equality. Now more than ever, it's important that someone advance those kinds of issues and fight for those sorts of rights. It's just something I really personally believe in, and it's something that the haunt industry as a whole really believes in. And so it's just something that's dear to all of our hearts that we feel needs representation right now. Before Hunters Against Hate, I think a lot of people who may have been gay would have felt that it might not be a friendly environment for them, or they might have felt threatened by it, or that there would be a lot of people there who wouldn't be understanding. And so we want to make it clear that that's not the case at all. In fact, it's a very welcoming group.
Just about anybody here that you ask, what do you think about Fear Fair? Usually the first word they use to describe it is family, because that's the atmosphere we try to build around here to make sure that everybody feels like they're amongst family.
There's a lot of bonding that goes on because you're here so much. It becomes a hub or a central point. We've had kids who act on our cast and then go away to college and then come back and continue to act when they get back. You'll never find a more diverse group of people who come together and have a common goal and become such close friends than you will among a haunted house cast. And we want to make sure everybody knows that everyone's welcome in that family and that there's no room for hate in those families.
We want to make sure everybody feels comfortable, everybody knows and understands that no matter where they're coming from or who they are, they're always welcome here.
Obviously, no one ever wants to be discriminated anywhere, and especially here, there's that opportunity where people feel open already and they want to be able to open up, and we don't want anyone to feel like that they can't be here and be happy and enjoy themselves.
Whenever you come here, you're ready, you have energy, and the people around you are only hyping that up even more.
So at the end of the day, I want everybody to enjoy what they're doing. If we don't have a good, cohesive group, then there's no way you can enjoy what you're doing. So the more comfortable the actor feels, the more comfortable the makeup artist feels, the better job they're going to do. So overall, it just helps improve the quality of everything we do, from makeup, design, acting, everything, the overall experience.
People just think haunted house generically, but there's a big difference. There are more family-oriented haunted houses that aren't as scary, and then you'll have other places that are more focused around the jump scare, that are just all about the scare, that are much darker and less detailed, but more intense. I think we really fall in the middle. We're very detailed, and we put a lot of thought into our acting, and we have a lot of speaking characters, and so we are theatrical in that range, but we try to always have a lot of jump scares too. The emotional and physical response of laughter and being scared or screaming are so close together. It's fun to get scared. It's more fun to scare people, but it's fun to get scared. You can't get this anywhere else. It's a personal experience. You're not detached in the form of a movie or a video game. It's just breaking that final barrier. It's one of those last personalized experiences of that nature you can get. There's just not much else out there that's like it. And so we're here to make sure that goes on for years and years.
Actually, I worked at a haunt for the last 4 years. I've been a makeup artist at a haunt. It was Scream Park at Binghamton's in Kitchener, Ontario. I've always been into horror movies and like darker art. Like I've always been into, you know, I was never a Disney princess. That was never a thing for me. I don't know. That's a tough one. Working in a haunt and being a special effects makeup artist, a lot of what I do in film is for horror movies or like indie shorts that are all horror related. It's just, I don't know, it comes by me naturally, I think. And that's where my makeup comes from. It's more fun to do things scary. It's more challenging. I find it a lot more challenging than beauty makeup. So I think that's why I enjoy it more.
I started years ago, don't even remember when at this point, just decorating my front yard, scaring trick-or-treaters away, and one time my mom got super mad at me and was just like, why don't you go work for a place where you're supposed to do that kind of stuff? And I was like, you're crazy, Mom. So I ended up taking her advice anyways because she's my mom, and then went to work for a place called Baxter Avenue Morgue. Went there for 5 years, ended up making a pretty established character then, and then Lucian Tomes, he ended up leaving before my last year, and I ended up taking over the introduction. Then I had some of the same problems he had, butting heads with management, and decided that I was going to leave as well. And then from there I decided I was going to go move on to Haunted Hotel. I had a couple other places in mind, but hotels where I settled down on. And I thought, oh, this is fantastic. I'll be able to go back to my roots. I won't have to do introductions anymore. I'll just be able to work a room again. And then they asked me to do introduction.
That kind of screwed you. Good job, Kevin.
And then I've been doing that ever since. Made Thomas Gribbins. They gave me a little bare bones story to work off of. I added some meat to it, and then the owner of the Haunted Hotel, Thomas Gribbins, has come forth after 25 years of exile.
Now, I do believe that you were asked by the owner of Hotel to turn around, take the story, and make it more yours and give it more depth.
I wasn't asked by Kevin, which is the owner. I was asked by Kay, one of the management teams. She didn't even really ask. She gave me permission to, because when I first started off there, I started doing a couple of nights while I still worked at Baxter, and I ended up working a room right next to Kay. And I said, the one thing that I'm going to miss from Baxter is having that in-depth storyline, because as far as I knew, Hotel didn't have it. And she said, oh, we actually do. Explained the bare bones story to me. And then when the next year came around, she gave me the permission. She said, do the introduction. We want you to be a figurehead of the story. We want you to add some more story to it. Be a figurehead. So originally, Thomas Gribbins was just going to be a manager of the Haunted Hotel. And then Kay accidentally said that I was going to be playing the owner. And I gave her a weird look. And she said, or manager. And I said, I'll do both. I'll be the managing owner. A very hands-on owner. And that's how Thomas Gribbins came to be. Originally, the owner was never going to be shown. He was just going to stay a figure in the shadows.
A myth.
Yes.
I never named this place a haunted hotel. That's the name that was given to me. Everyone on the outside that wants to come in here and judge my business for something you do not understand. What did I do to turn people into monsters? From one family member to another. Welcome home.
So for me, it's a little similar to your story. It's my dad. He grew up here in Louisville, over on Indian Trail, and he used to rip PAs and pumpkins and stuff with his dad. There's a lot more darker story to that. But when I was growing up and I moved here, got stationed near Fort Knox, turn around, would set the yard up during Halloween, just Halloween nights.
Same with me.
He'd sit there and decorate the whole yard while I was in school, and come home, and it's like this yard went from this tiny little trailer park yard to this, like, got speakers hidden in the trees, wires, pulley systems. Like, what the hell did you do all day? You know, it was like a transformation, and it felt just different. And when people would come through to get their candy, is that whole, you know, transformation. You can feed off that energy. It's like, I get to fuck with people. And I was a big Jason Voorhees fan, and you, like myself, probably are a big fan of The Undertaker.
Oh, yes.
Oh, man, the Dead Man. You know, the Dead Man was my hero and icon, him and Kane, and I used that when I would do my scary gimmick, lay on the ground, do the rise up, roll the eyes.
That's classic.
And it scared people, and people were like, those are great contexts. Before I even knew what contexts were. I was like, this is not context, it's my real eyes. Now I can't even do it. See how
Wait, so what you're telling me is you broke character.
Yeah, I broke character. I did the cardinal rule. Which, you know what's funny is our show is called Boo, and it's a cardinal sin in our world.
Yes.
It's a very cardinal, because it's not scary.
Never say boo, never say get out, never say help me.
But, I mean, I pretty much had the same thing, and then a friend of mine who helped in the yard I grew up with, skateboarders and whatnot, he pulled me to the Foot of Screams in Brandenburg, Kentucky. I worked there for a year, had some bad blood, left for 8 years, went on a hiatus, kind of like wrestlers and bands. Came back in 2015, enjoyed it, made a name for myself. Then the following year, really adapted to the character that I was playing and brought, kind of like you did with Tom Scribbins. I got into it, made the character more my own instead of just a role, and from there it was awesome. You know, I met my best man for my wedding, his family. Tyrone made names for ourselves, and then of course I was getting tired of the mundane and the teeny bopper BS. A lot of us have dealt with teeny boppers, and the new guy who doesn't want to do anything.
Just there for
just
to play.
Little thing. If you're there at a haunt for the pay, you don't deserve to be there.
Just for the pay or just to play.
Yeah.
Get the fuck in. But how did you get into hotel?
Oh, hotel. That's a great little story there. See, originally I had designed to work at Grim Trails. You know, the place with fairies and whatnot.
Fairy tale creatures that come to life.
Yes. I love Grim Trails. They're amazing. They took care of me and my wife. We were actually in one of their 2016's 2017's videos for Louisville Halloween. I kind of felt bad, but due to transportational issues and money, I could not commit all season. But I was originally lined up to be out there as Pinocchio. That didn't happen, and there was a lot that was lacking. They were working on other things that they didn't get the Pinocchio thing going. So I actually dressed up as Rumpelstiltskin from my wedding, and was out there in no scene trying to act. Did that for like 2 nights. And then the following weekend, Amanda, Jerome invited me out to the hotel for a trial run. And I guess Kay and them saw something in me and liked it when I worked the butcher room. That I was wanted back. Even Kevin wanted me back. So that meant something. I thought my leg was being pulled. I was like, yeah, they don't know. I wasn't that good. You know, kind of how as modest you are. So I came back and they made me a chainsaw guy, which was fun. I enjoyed it until the end of the season where I was like, put me in the damn house. It's cold and my arms hurt.
And those chainsaw boys love to blame me.
I don't blame no one. I love to run and I love it and stuff and things we could do, but it's just too physical.
Some of them blame me. They blame the pace, but I can't control that. It's half the time.
I love the pace. Otherwise, you're just bored. And half the time we're out, you know, when we're dead, we're right by the door listening to the spill and watching people come in and fucking with them. It's like, let's be crowd pleasers. You know. So, I mean, there's perks to it.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, you know, that when you're going slower, it's fun because you get more chance to play with them as they're going out. Chasing them down the street.
You get that chance. I get a minute and a half to just talk.
Yeah, but we all love it. I don't know, the Christmas was fun. I love the Christmas one.
Welcome home for the holidays.
Mr. Jingles, take them down.
I forgot about that.
That's always going to be engraved in my head every time. Yes, I have love Accession and a boner for Tales from the Crypt. You know.
See, I love Halloween. Never been big on horror. Only been okay with like one horror video game. Never really been that much with horror
Speaking of games,
movies.
we were talking about the other day. We were going to talk about that game you were telling me about.
Oh, Outlast. It's like the only game that I've ever been able to get involved in. Pretty friggin' gruesome.
Yeah.
It's my main gripe with a lot of horror video games or horror movies. Main gripe, not always correct.
Like Silent Hill, Resident Evil.
My main gripe is they rely a lot on jump scares. Take Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, there's a lot of suspense that the animatronics are going to get you, but ultimately the scare is just the thing going in your face going, and that's it. And,
which is pretty much Resident Evil right there.
And so I've never liked those. It's just it's cheap. It's necessary in moderation, but it's cheap if you use it way too much. Outlast was like the first ever horror game that I ever encountered that I actually... There are jump scares, but it's very few and far between, and if you get scared, it's your fault. You found the person trying to find you. This music starts playing, and you have to run away or they're going to kill you, and you have to run away and hide, and then that adds suspense because they might find you. Like, that's the only game that I've ever been able to get into horror-related. There's only been one movie horror-related that I've been able to get into, and it follows along the same lines as that. It's suspenseful, but I don't think it has a single jump scare in it.
That's freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we all love horror, and it brings all of us from different walks of life together. Gamers, nerds, lawyers, Brett. You know, all kinds of people together. And then the most humble, you know, for me, Kevin. That's a hard-working man. But, I mean, there's so much about this culture of ours that's just unique. And that's how I met my wife. We're getting ready to turn around, interview Matt's idol.
Well, idol, admittedly, I'll go ahead and say this is probably a bit too far, but I will say mentor. For me, I've molded myself around what he's shown me over the years. I spent 4 years at Baxter Avenue Morgue watching this man doing what he did. By my second or third year, I started making my own character to kind of rival his character. And then once Hotel kicked off, I was able to make my own version, technically, of his character. Very drastically different, but I've heard people say, "Oh, that's his character of Haunted Hotel," and that brings a warm feeling to my heart. So I love Lucian. I'm excited to talk to him.
Oh gosh, well, it goes back when I was 15, 41 years ago, believe it or not. I'd sort of gotten the acting bug. So I've been a big fan of movies for years. I started looking around, like, okay, well, there's an acting school, a teach or something. And it was my late father, who was normally a very practical person, very like, hey, at Louisville JC's haunted house downtown is always looking for actors. Right there. So they were having auditions for one season. Went down there, and even though their usual age hiring actors was 16, they went ahead and hired me anyway. A legend was born.
You know, my mentor, the one and only Joker, always told me that even with kids, you always go hard. You know, I was never taught toning it down because I started out that way, toning it down, and then it was retrained that by toning it down, you know, you're not putting on the best show you can. And when it's like, you have those parents probably like, oh, you're cussing my kids around. You're the asshole parent who brought them. And I'm in the business, I mean, Mr. Lucian, or Luke did say, you know, he's not in the business of terrifying children, but, you know, that's part of my job.
Well, I would argue that toning things down doesn't necessarily take away from the show that you're giving. It can, if you take it too far. But I'm still giving the same speech, giving the same emotions in front of these kids just changing up the words.
In a way, it kind of forces you to be more creative. You know, we talk about this love of what we do and of why we love spooky. And the one thing I keep coming back to is, you know, you've had bad times, I've had bad times. We've all had bad times, just like any family reunion. You're going to have those bad apples and those people you can't stand. But, you know, we're all doing what we love to do. And we're all here to entertain, just like what we're doing right now. We're trying to make it entertaining and be informative. But, you know, it's the fact that we enjoy what we do, and for a lot of us, it's either a stress relief or it's, I guess you could say in a way to face your own demons that you struggle with in society.
Just a broad term of it would just be it's an outlet.
Yeah. I mean, everybody does it for their own reasons.
So, there's just a few things I want to say before we close off. Thank you very much for joining us on this inaugural episode of BooTv. So, without any further ado, we love you all, like family, true love. And one last thing, stay spooky, my friends. Alright guys, welcome back to my bedroom. Yeah. So we're gonna talk a little bit about what BooTalk is gonna be. Normally we would be kind of going more in depth on what kind of stuff we talked about on the episode. Normally these would come out probably a couple of days after the episode would go live, but considering we're not fully set up with BooTalk yet, this is just kind of like a recap, not recap, more of like just kind of like figuring out what's going on and to let you know what BooTalk is even gonna be about. So, and I'm not going to be covering any of the whole getting to know you situation, even though this is kind of a getting to know you situation. But I'm not going to be covering any of that and how I got into haunted houses and how I got into anything horror related, because, well, to be quite honest, I feel like it was pretty well covered in the actual episode itself. So if you haven't seen the episode for some reason, because I don't know how you would have found me without that, considering BooTalk and BooTv is in its infancy. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and go check it out at BooTv on YouTube. Don't have a solid like BooTv/YouTube/fuckwad situation. We don't have that yet, so I don't have a URL to give you if you wanted to just type that in. But I believe if you just type into the search bar on YouTube BooTv show, we should pop up. Should. No guarantees. But I want to talk about what BooTalk is going to be. BooTalk will be going on, like I said earlier, probably a couple of days after each BooTv episode comes out. I'm probably going to get those two confused, calling BooTalk BooTv and BooTv called BooTalk at one point. Hopefully you'll know what I mean. But we should be coming out a couple of days after each episode. I do have an episode theme of where I've decided that is where I want BooTalk episode 1 to come out. No date set. So I'm not going to tell you, hey, come by here in a couple of weeks or a couple of months and we'll have episode 1 out. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know when it's going to come out. I know what theme I want it to come out with. But for right now, it's in its planning phase. But whereas BooTv, we're supposed to try to go for about 20 to 30 minute long episodes. So far we failed pretty hard at doing that, which would, if we continue doing that, is going to completely ruin the point of BooTalk. But BooTv, we try to keep it to like 20-30 minutes, and then whatever doesn't get covered, we can go a bit more in depth on BooTalk, which I'm planning to keep around 45 minutes to an hour long. Yeah, that way you can, just pop it in your ears, listen to it while you're riding your bike, if anybody still rides bikes, or pop it in your ears while you're at work, and so your boss can yell at you, that kind of stuff. But that's the plan. Whether or not it works out, we'll see. For this first episode, there's a lot of like 25 minutes worth of audio from the BooTv episode, so that is filling up a lot of time for this episode 0, but I still don't think I'm gonna meet my time requirements of 45 minutes to an hour long. But, you know, since the friggin' episode went an hour long, I think I have the right to do that. It's not always just gonna be me sitting and talking into a microphone alone in my bedroom because I'm a lonely fucker. It's gonna have possibly Michael on whenever he can or wants to come on, and you know, any guests that we have on the show, I want to try to get on to BooTalk as well, so that, you know, anything they got cut off on that they didn't get a chance to cover in the actual episode, they'll be able to cover it on the podcast, for people who want to listen to it. And Michael is not as involved with BooTalk. You know, I'm not saying that to be like, oh, thank God that dick's not here doing anything. No, he's I'm more so taking the helm on this one. It was more my idea to do it anyways. I have more freedom, I guess. If you, I admit that makes it sound like he's got me tied up in a fucking basement, but I can't think of a better way to say it. I have more freedom doing this. It's more my idea, so I'm the one that's editing it. I'm the one that's recording it. I'm taking charge on this one. This is my pet project. So Michael's not always going to be on, but with that comes the fact that the co-host is now out of the co-host chair and into the host's chair. Makes me feel like I'm top dog around here. But really, that's really about it. I don't know what else I can get into. I could tell you what theme I want this to come out around, but I'm afraid that maybe that theme might fall apart by the time we do it, because we still don't know when we want to do that theme for the show. You know what, fuck it. Don't take this as a concrete thing that is going to happen, because it very well, in between now and whenever we try to do this episode, it very well could fall apart. So, you know, but the theme that I want to bring BooTalk out on would be the episode BooTv, I believe, would be called like the 3 Voices of Louisville or something like that, where we would get the 3 introduction guys, the 3 main introduction guys. There's introduction guys for almost every haunted house, especially in Louisville. I don't know especially, but you know what I mean. There's 3 that people usually think of. And it's going to sound super egotistical, but I'm one of them, for Haunted Hotel. And then there's Lucian Tomes, who we had on the first episode, and you would have heard earlier on the episode. If you listened, I picked out a clip of him talking for a little bit. And then there's also Todd Merriman, the devil from the Devil's Attic. And I've gotten them both to agree to come on the show. And then after the show, we'd sit down. I'd set this handy-dandy microphone down in front of all of us, because it's a lovely snowball microphone that picks up a good amount of sound in multiple directions. Not the best audio quality, but you know, I'm broke and it works. But we'd sit down, put this microphone in front of us, and we'd just talk. It would be haunting through the eyes of introduction guys, or the 3 Voices of Louisville, or whatever. That's when I want BooTalk to come out. That would be BooTalk episode 1. Whether or not it's going to happen, we'll see. Like I said, some stuff could follow through. Plans could come up and ruin our ability to get one of them on. But, you know, one way or another, this is coming out. That's what I want it to come out with. Whether or not it does, we'll see. But, you know, with that said, I think I've gotten pretty much everything off my chest. I'm looking down here. Oh my god, I've only been talking about like 8 minutes. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is going to not meet the 45-minute mark, at least. But, again, we did a fucking hour-long episode for episode 1. And then episode 2 came out, and it's still over 30 minutes long. So, I think shorter episodes of anything are going to be okay at this point, especially friggin' episode 0. So, with that said, my name's been Hugh Perry. your co-host for BooTv, and now your host for BooTalk whenever the fuck that comes out. And as I say on BooTv, I'm gonna say it here too. Stay spooky, my friends.
Initiate Dear Chud sequence.